Yehova, please fill me with the Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, amen. We'll start with the Shema, listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts in mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. Exodus chapter 14. Yehovah said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel to turn around and set up camp in front of Pi Hakerot, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal Zephon. Camp opposite it, by the sea. Then Pharaoh will say that the people of Israel are wandering aimlessly in the countryside. The desert will close in on them. I will make Pharaoh so hard-hearted that he will pursue them. Thus I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army. And the Egyptians will realize at last that I am Yehovah. The people did as ordered. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his servants had a change of heart toward the people. They said, what have we done, letting Israel stop being our slaves? So he prepared his chariots and took his people with him. He took 600 first-quality chariots, as well as other chariots in Egypt, as well as all the other chariots in Egypt. Along with their commanders, Yehovah made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he pursued the people of Israel, and they left boldly. The Egyptians went after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, with his cavalry and army, and overtook them as they were encamped by the sea, by Pi Hakerot, in front of Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and saw the Egyptians right there, coming after them. In great fear, the people of Israel cried out to Yehovah, said to Moshe, was it because there wasn't enough graves in Egypt that you brought us out to die in the desert? Why have you done this to us, bringing out of Egypt? Didn't we tell you in Egypt to let us alone? We'll just go on being slaves for the Egyptians. It would have been better for us to be the Egyptian slaves than to die in the desert. Moshe answered the people, stop being so fearful. Remain steady. You will see how Yehovah is going to save you. He will do it today. Today you have seen the Egyptians, but you will never see them again. Yehovah will do the battle for you. Just calm yourselves down. Yehovah asked Moshe, why are you crying to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift your staff. Reach out with your hand over the sea and divide it in two. The people of Israel will advance into the sea on dry ground. As for me, I will make the Egyptians hard-hearted. They will march in after them. Thus I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army, chariots, and cavalry. Then the Egyptians will realize that I am Yehovah, when I have won myself glory at the expense of Pharaoh, his chariots, his cavalry. Next, the angel of God, who was going ahead of the camp of Israel, moved away and went behind them. And the column of cloud moved away in front of them and stood behind them. It stationed itself between the camp of Egypt and the camp of Israel. There was a cloud and darkness here, but light by night there, so that the one did not come near the other all night long. Moshe reached out his hand over the sea, and Yehovah caused the sea to go back before a strong east wind all night. He made the sea become dry land, and its water was divided in two. Then the people of Israel went into the sea on the dry ground, with the water walled up for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians continued their pursuit, going after them into the sea. All Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and cavalry. Just before dawn, Yehova looked out on the Egyptians, on the Egyptian army, through the column of fire and cloud, and threw them into a panic. He caused the wheels of their chariots to break off, so that they could move only with difficulty. The Egyptians said, "Yehova is fighting Israel against the Egyptians. Let's get away from them." Yehova said to Moshe, "Reach out your hand over the sea. The water will return and cover the Egyptians with their chariots and cavalry." Moshe reached out his hand over the sea, and by dawn the sea had returned to its former depth. The Egyptians tried to flee, but Yehova swept them into the sea. The water came back and covered all the chariots and cavalry of Pharaoh's army who had followed them into the sea. Not even one of them was left. But the people of Israel walked on dry ground in the sea, with the water walled up for them on their right and on their left. On that day, Yehova saved Israel from the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore. When Israel saw the mighty deed that Yehova had performed against the Egyptians, the people feared Yehova, and they believed in Yehova and in his servant Moshe. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading Exodus 14? We can listen and obey to the instructions of Yehova. Know that Yehova set his children in a place to attract Pharaoh so he could lure Pharaoh and his men right where he wanted them, so his mighty hand might make it know once and for all that he is Yehova. Know that Yehova seeks glory for himself. Do as Yehova orders you to do. Know that Pharaoh and 600 first-quality chariots, plus all the other chariots. Know that the children of Yehova left boldly. When in great fear, cry out to Yehova for salvation. Place your trust in Yehova for salvation. Trust that no matter what impossible obstacle is in front of you, and even if death itself is coming for you at full speed, trust that Yehova is our salvation. Trust that Yehova will make a way where there seems to be no way. Know that the children of Israel walked through the middle of the split sea on dry ground. Trust that the angel of Elohim stood between the camp of Israel and the camp of Egypt. Know that the water was walled up on the right and on the left. Trust that Yehova sees what your enemies are doing, and in this case, cause the wheels of the chariots to break off. Know that the Egyptians said, "Yehova is fighting for Israel and against the Egyptians. Let's get away from them." Listen and obey to the instructions of Yehova. Know that the Egyptian army was swallowed up by the Sea of Soph. Trust that on this day, Yehova saved Israel from the Egyptians. When Israel saw this, they feared Yehova and believed in Yehova and in his servant Moshe. How can we love others as Yeshua loves us? We can teach others to follow Yehova. Bear one another's burdens. We can share with others to trust in Yehova for salvation. Produce spiritual fruit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control. End with Arianic blessing. Yehova will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehova will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he will provide for you love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehova will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and will set in place all you need to be whole and complete.